Howdy, howdy, howdy. It is me, Jonas J. Campbell, the sometimes host of That Game Place. And guess what? We have got a show for you today. And joining me are two of my illustrious co-hosts. First of all, from high above the stratosphere, Mr. Space Dave 2000. He was hiding behind me there. So glad you could join us.
That's the other guy who, in Space Odyssey kind of disappeared. Well, anyways, you got to watch that movie. Sorry, I'm trying to get him.
How's Major Tom doing, by the way?
We can't talk about Major Tom.
But you know who we can talk about? The man who hosts Loki's Mornings of Mischief every single weekday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, especially on Taco Tuesdays. Stone Cold Loki. How's it going, man?
How's it going, Jonas? We meet again at last.
You know what? I didn't get to be here last week due to a little bit of an issue. What's going on in the chat here? Just need to add in something here. First of all, we've got Joshua Hammond, who is first, Tom F., who is second, Rob Hatherley, who is third, Jared Markham, and Matthew Johnson with fourth, and let's see, Argentum with a fifth or sixth blah. And That Game Place here, seventh of the house of That Game Place. Guys, we got a little bit of Ubisoft news to cover, and then we're going to be talking about some stuff that maybe isn't on that culture war side, but is some good news for gamers. So let's get into this, though, to start things out. This from Games Radar, and Allie Jones published this one yesterday. Assassin's Creed Shadows Early Access officially canceled as Ubisoft drops collector's edition price by $50 amid delays and scrapped season pass plans. So they scrapped. I didn't realize they scrapped the season pass too. That's a good sign for me. I think. Well, let's read the article and then we'll react to that. When you purchase links, the Assassin's Creed Shadows Collector's Edition will no longer offer early access to the game, with the edition's price dropping $50 as a result. In a post on Discord via IGN, Ubisoft confirmed that several factors, including the Assassin's Creed Shadows delay, the cancellation of its planned season pass component, and the removal of the 3 days of early access planned as part of the original November 15th release date, caused the $280 price tag. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm having a little trouble breathing here. That's funny. Dropped to $230, the very reasonable price of $230. Oh my.
No, this is desperation on their part. This is absolute desperation. They're looking to blame anything but the fact that this is a horrible game. So they saw what happened with Star Wars Outlaws. They're not going to, we'll give you 3 days access, and then all the rumors about how bad it is, all the rumors about having started to start over, everything that they had to do last time, they're just going to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, so they don't get embarrassed again. It's going to happen anyway because it's a bad game. They just won't admit it.
I totally agree. I think if they've canceled the season pass, what do you think that means? Do you think that means they canceled the content, or do you think they've moved it somewhere else? I think I see a strategy here.
No, they moved it. They moved it because they're going to give you that first DLC for free now. So you're going to get that first DLC. So it can't be a season pass if there's only 2 things in the season pass and early access. They can't give that to you if they've just cut that in half and put it off to the side. They will try and make their money back. Guaranteed. They will find some way to come in around and make their money back. They're going to cut it in half and give you 1 DLC. So they got to add something to it later.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this is. I'm reminded of was it Resident Evil 5 where the DLC was already on the disc, and then all you got to do was unlock it by paying for the DLC. So it wasn't even downloadable content; it was pay to unlock content.
Yes.
So to me, this looks like, you know, what is that old meme about the original painting and it's the Mona Lisa, and then the painting by EA and it's little slices of it that have been taken out of it that you can pay for the rest of it $10 a piece. This is what this reminds me of, that season pass. Like they've shifted it and said, no, 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 we're not going to sell any of this game. I think maybe they're waking up to the fact that they might not sell any of this game, and they're saying, no, 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 it's just the game. Please, we promise you the things that were going to be DLC. The time when you run into, I don't know, let's say Jabba the Hutt, for lack of a better example, right here. We're going to go ahead and put that in the game. That's a little joke for you who might be covering what else Ubisoft has been up to these days. Dave, do you think that's reasonable, or am I off base?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off in the end. In other words, no, it's not gonna. I agree with you guys. This is, though I suspect this is maybe like, did this come with any? Was this a physical edition charging that much, or is this a digital edition? That's my first question.
I would think at $280, there better be physical.
Yeah, like a statue or something, right?
Are you saying no, Loki? Do you actually know what the
Oh no, no,
collector's
no!
edition is on
I'm
this one?
shaking. I'm shaking my head that they would even imagine to sell a $280 digital edition.
Now,
I'm.
It
I
wouldn't
mean,
surprise me anymore. But
$130. I mean, that's kind of that's the point at which you would think they would cap out on a digital edition. Here we go, over here from IGN. Here is the collector's edition. It comes with
yeah,
that looks like a hilt for or whatever the ring is to
Guard. It's
the
guard.
guard. Thank you very much. The digital content with the season pass, the ultimate pack, which I'm assuming this is all in-game items at this point. A couple of lithographs, a collector's art book. At least this doesn't have a one-legged Tory gate on it, so at least there's that.
just
And a
missing.
map.
It's missing a canvas bag, just like Fallout 76.
Oh my, that Fallout bag.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, explain that. By the way, that one was Bethesda, which is now, of course, Microsoft. But do you want to explain that for anybody who is not familiar, Dave?
Yeah, so they were selling pre-orders on a can. They called it a canvas bag, and I put that in air quotes if you could see me. And it ended up being like a cheap. It looked nothing like what they were advertising. It was just a cheap, like plastic practical bag, and it really was an insult to them. And they just brushed it off, Bethesda and the people providing it, and just they did that with the rum that they were selling too, and it's just ridiculous. So I always sense these kind of things when I see all of these, like how cheap is the material. Back in the day, I think, Loki, you could probably attest to this, there was a lot of quality behind these purchases.
Oh yeah.
But as time has gone on, you get cheaper and cheaper junk. And it doesn't even look like what it's supposed to be. So we'll hope it doesn't come to that. But Fallout 76 was a disaster in those areas. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, pre-ordering statues to me, when they're attached to a different item, that's never gone well, in my opinion. Let's continue reading, because there's something else here I want to bring up. The Assassin's Creed Shadows delay was accompanied by the unofficial suggestion that the early access window had been removed from the collector's edition, while the original release date was split between November 12th for early adopters and November 15th for everyone else. The new release date seemed to lock to a single day, February 14th, 2025. So Valentine's Day. So we have the Black Samurai on the same day as the Black Captain America. We have both of those things now premiering during Black History Month. Amazing, that coincidence. It's taken a while for Ubisoft to confirm that would be the case, but there's now little date as to what day you'll be able to play Shadows. Let's see. It's been a rocky few weeks for Ubisoft. Assassin's Creed Shadows delay was fueled in no small part by the mediocre response to Star Wars Outlaws, a failure that the company says is learning from in its decision here. They don't specifically mention the debacle with that here. Really? They're not going to mention the PlayStation 5 pre-order mess from Star Wars Outlaws. They're just going to call it a mediocre response. Okay, well, I guess I have to say it. I played Star Wars Outlaws early, and nothing about what I played changed between the start and the finish, because I played it on the Xbox version of it. It wasn't a good game. But if you were one of those people who paid for Ubisoft Premium Plus, no, you can't get that on the PlayStation 5. So you had to pay $130 in order to get that 3 days of early access on the PlayStation. Forgive me. I didn't realize how good I had it with my Xbox Series S. They basically did a patch 2 days before the game came out and said, sorry, if you've already been playing this game, you cannot progress with your current save. So you have to delete your save and start over. Person who has paid $130 in order to get early access to this game. So when I look at this, I wonder if Ubisoft is actually learning here, that this doesn't actually gain them anything, that people waiting for 3 more days, maybe that's worth the extra time and the fact that no one's going to be lording that over them forever. It'll just be that opening disaster. Like, what was it? Syndicate? That was their Assassin's Creed game that everybody rendered without faces, but still teeth, eyeballs, and hair. So, for a company that holds back content, I think that this is actually a good step. As cynical as I am about why they're doing this, I do think this is a good step for Ubisoft. Do you have any other things we want to add before we go over to the next story?
I have a serious question. Who even does the early purchase? Like, who wants an early release? Like, I mean, would you want to spend an extra $30 for that for 3 days? And when has anyone on this panel ever done that? I think only once in my entire life have I ever done that, because I was excited about a title, but it was kind of at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I paid that much extra for 3 extra days. And as you said, we get all the bugs to begin with, and then they release the patch on launch day. It really, is there any sense to it? Anyone on the panel think there's any sense to that way of thinking? Unless you're a multimedia person or something, or you're reviewing the game, but otherwise, what's the purpose?
That's what it's for. It's for the streamers. It's for the game experts. It's for anybody who can't get a press copy is going to get that 3 days early access. That way they can stream it right away. They can promote it right away. They can YouTube it right away, Rumble it, whatever you want to do. And you get that jump on everybody else 3 days early. The problem is that, like I said earlier, when you have bomb like Outlaws, when it's so bad that even the people that are like, hey, look, guys, I'm playing one of the most beautiful games, and I fell to the ground. Oh, my speeder went off all by itself. I guess I'm stuck here. Oh, I can't get up the hill because my speeder's up there and I'm down here. And when I saved it, it saved the speeder there. So I guess I'm going to have to start the game all over again. Then it's a train wreck. And that's what they did with Outlaws. Not only do people know that these games are going to be bad, they're going to have their own political agenda. They're pushing that into everything they possibly can. Even in other countries, like we heard from the creator of Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior, whatever you want to call it, the other day, that, we have to abide by these rules that the United States is pushing on everyone else. So because that is the way it is, everybody's kind of stuck putting something or doing something or changing something. And this is not going to change by removing the 3-day early access. I think a lot of people already know this is trash. It's going to be a trash game. Ubisoft was trash at their management of this from the beginning, saying, "Oh no, look, it's all historically accurate. We did all our homework," when they didn't. They should have never had an actual person as a character. Always use someone, that way you can view everything that's going on. You should not be the historical figure. You should be in awe of going, "Oh, look, there's George Washington. Oh, I get to talk to George Washington. Oh, in the DLC, I get to fight King Washington, who's taken over the United States and made it a monarchy." Those are cool things. Being one and then this fight over historical accuracy, that's just, no. They messed up. They know they messed up, and I think they're going to pay for it again with Assassin's Creed Yasuke edition.
I totally agree. And I'm even the fact that they've called it Shadows. I'm like, guys, could you be any more tone deaf here? But that being said, you know who's not tone deaf? It would be Samuel Maine, who did a $3 super sticker, and it's a little bean person, and that bean person is giving us a thumbs up. By the way, to anybody out there, if you want to hit that thumbs up, it does help out the channel quite a bit. There's an interesting story. We watched a preview for an anthology show on this channel, and it was called Secret Level. Now, I thought this would be something that would come and go, and oh, a little oddity here, but the historical footnotes keep stacking up here. I paused it briefly and said, "Hey, I think that might be Keanu Reeves." Also,
Yep.
a little demon-looking Pac-Man was in it. Now, of course, Concord. I don't know if you guys are aware of Concord, but Concord was a maybe $400 million hero shooter that Sony put an incredible amount of resources behind, and very quickly that thing got yanked, and even the physical copies don't work because when they turn off the servers, that essentially turns your disc into a coaster. Well, Concord is still scheduled to be a part of Secret Level, but we're hearing more details about just how much money and the indications that Secret Level might be a bigger deal than we originally realized here. This had a deadline. Secret Level, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kevin Hart, and Keanu Reeves among the voice cast of Prime Video animated anthology. Those are a lot of very expensive names right there. Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously, he's the governor. Anyone want to venture? Go ahead and talk like like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
They gave us millions of dollars.
Yeah. Come on.
Exactly.
Stick around.
Kevin Hart would probably get us in a little bit of trouble, but Keanu Reeves, I mean, he's in Fortnite. He's a cool dude. He's also one of the biggest names in gaming when he chooses to involve himself. And the fact that this is going on Prime Video, I don't know how much it costs, but generally, if Amazon is involved, the price tag goes up. Prime Video has revealed.
Jonas. Whoa.
Exact
Whoa.
Dude. He is an FBI agent.
Things are afoot on that gameplay, Bill.
Prime Video has revealed the voice cast of Secret Level, its upcoming adult animated anthology series from the creative team behind Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots, which features original stories set within the worlds of popular video games. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kevin Hart, Keanu Reeves, Gabriel Luna. Sorry, I get Diego and Gabriel Luna confused sometimes. Gabriel Luna is he was Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was the first place I saw him in. He's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was in Last of Us and also Terminator Dark Fate. And then Tamira Morrison and Ariana Greenblatt, which I'm gonna beg off on that one, plead the fifth. I don't know who that is. Are among the voice actors announced during the show's panel at New York Comic-Con. Let's see, also includes that's funny. They called him Heaven Hart for a second. Oh, wait. They're talking about Schwarzenegger's son, so maybe Heaven Hart is related to Kevin Hart. That would be a very Hollywood thing to name your kid. Patrick Schwarzenegger in it. Emily Swallow was, of course, the armorer on The Mandalorian. Let's see, Claudia Dumit. Adewale Akanuye Agbaje. He played Mr. Echo on Lost. Man, love that guy. I used to do a good impression of him back in the day. Laura Bailey and Michael Beach.
He passed away though, didn't he?
Did he? I think AAA is probably still alive. Did he?
Might be. I apologize. I'm probably mixing him up with the guy that played. It'll come to me later, but okay.
Yeah.
I think he's still okay.
Where they're saying 15 episodes and will start on November 10th with 2 weekly episode drops with games featuring games such as Pac-Man, Dungeons and Dragons, Crossfire, Exodus, Spelunky, Warhammer 40K, and various PlayStation titles. Looking at this, they are still saying that Concord is going to be featured in this. And then they feature PlayStation, highlighting various PlayStation Studios beloved entities. I think there was a statement made by a Sony executive that they said that they don't have many internal IPs over there at Sony. So when they say that they're trying to make a push to have more IPs that are recognized, you could have a million IPs, and if no one knows what they are, you essentially have no IP.
Well,
I think that
Jonas,
there's still. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I got word the other day, Concord is releasing. They are re-releasing it. Sony has decided to re-release it. They're not going to use their insurance plan to just make a claim that they're still planning on releasing this sometime next year.
Are you kidding me? That is amazing.
I thought y'all would already know that. Yeah. Concord's supposed to be re-released by Sony. So they're looking at some point next year. I don't know what they're going to do to it. I don't know what their plans are with it. I don't know if they're going to redo anything, change the graphics, whatever, but they're not done. Sony's not done with Concord.
If they were smart, they would make a parody of that game now. They would just parody themselves, and because it would probably sell, and then people would go for it and have a good laugh, right? So if they're smart, I don't think they're smart. I think they take themselves far too seriously. So they'll probably just release, another trash version of it. But if they were smart, they'd parody themselves, realize what they've done, and then play on that, make some other money back. But we'll see.
It's a fair enough point here, and let me go to Insider Gaming for a follow-up story on this. Concord continues to get updates on Steam. Concord may be offline, but it doesn't appear fully dead. If you haven't checked the Concord Steam database page in a few weeks, you likely missed that it has continued to see various updates on Steam over the last few weeks, multiple daily updates to the game on Steam since October 6th. And the game has seen 20 updates on Steam by various users, such as PM Test, Sony Q&A-E, Shipping, and Sony Q&A-E. Unknown what the updates are exactly, but there are rumors that the game could be looking to re-release as a free-to-play title. See, I had seen this, and I had thought maybe there were things that were already in the chute that just weren't live yet. But my goodness, could we actually see this game hitting stores again? I wonder, what could they do to fix this game at this point? Because the character designs are so off-putting. There's a standard rule that if no one cares about your characters in any way, and even in a are they good looking sort of way, and I'm being very vague about a certain rule on the internet, your game is pretty much dead. Your property is dead if no one finds any of your content engaging. So, wow. Do you think this is actually going to happen?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I really do. I think they're going to try and push it free to play. I think they're going to charge you for costumes, reskins, whatever, and that's what they're going to do with it. I think this is what they should have done with it to begin with, instead of selling it to you at a $40-$50 price tag. But that they thought this was, they said Star Wars, Jonas, they said this is going to blow Star Wars away. It's going to blow away all the sci-fi nerds. Everybody's going to be playing this game, and nobody showed up. Nobody cared. They said, oh, it's just another same old thing. They can free to play this all they want to and act like it's a success. It'll end up with a couple dozen whales on it, and that's it.
The only super successful free to play, I think, was GTA 5. There's a few others, but that's really a hit, and I don't see this ever doing that. So,
well, I've been discouraged from bringing it up by the chat, but there is a certain free to play that I often bring up.
See, I set you up there. I set you up there to see if
you did. You did. I don't even have to say the name of
it. Burt Nerders.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. And those turd burglars over there are apparently considering making shoes into cosmetics and adding shoes that you could overlay onto different skins. Ridiculous, completely ridiculous. So I am going to bring up Fortnite as a positive and as a negative on this one. Anyhow, Makani draws for $20. Thank you, Makani. I appreciate you. Sony doesn't have many internal IPs, Ape Escape, Gravity Rush, Resistance, Killzone, Wipeout, Infamous, Little Big Planet, Medieval, Motorstorm, Sly Cooper, SOCOM, Twisted Metal, Siphon Filter, Wild Arms. Yeah, I agree. Also, there's Jack and Daxter just sitting there doing nothing. I mean, come on, give me a Jack and Daxter game.
Don't
It is
forget
a
God of War.
It's a well, we are definitely going to be talking about God of War here in just a minute. Guys.
You mean
Ooh.
Goddess of War, don't you?
Well, there's a very capable person that is attached to God of War right now. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Let's get to this one though. Jacob, Foxfires for $5. Sony might as well be throwing that money into a furnace. LOL. Yep. This is the question where the sunk cost fallacy enters into it. You start thinking about how much money you've spent versus how much money to convert the wasted thing into something that you can use. Sometimes people will go ahead and spend more money because they know how much money they've spent. And converting something, if they could spend $25 million and convert Concord into something usable, they should spend that money so that it's not a complete loss. But at this point, they have to spend, they have a very specific threshold because they could take a tax write-off on, the tax write-off on $400 million is, it's significant. I don't know what Sony's effective tax rate is right now, but if it's like Disney's, it would be like 30%. So 4 times $30 million, you're talking about $120 million. So if it takes more than $120 million to get this thing profitable again, then okay, maybe. Sorry, less than $120 million to get it profitable again. But if it takes more than that much to get this thing out the door and making money, it's a bad idea. I'm going to say what they probably need to be doing is making all of their characters hot and relabeling it as something other than Concord. So,
Yep.
Again, if they want to parody themselves, they could say, like, during this time off, all of the not so attractive characters, and I'm not going to point them out, had went on an exercise regime and got real fit. Bring them back in a different shape, and there you go, right? Why not?
I think it's fair enough. Or maybe it's their better looking cousins that step in.
Yeah, but with the way it is in the game industry, they just had, I can't remember who came out with the article. They just had a sit down round table with some developers, and they said, "Oh, that absolutely does not sell. Good looking characters, that's just a myth. The whole, SEX sells thing just doesn't work, and it's not profitable, and we really don't see a future and a way forward with it." And I'm like, what have you guys been doing? Who drank the dumb Kool-Aid? And where have you all been for the last 30 years of gaming?
Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely does. Why? Because you've got a lot of young men that game. And a lot of those young men grow up, get big and strong, go out into the world, get a job, and they buy more games. Why? Because they grew up gaming. And you know what they like? I'll give you one hint. What they like. It's not watching Shamu run down the beach. It's something else.
Nice.
Jacob Foxfires for $5 more. Imagine if Sony doubles the cost again, another $200 million. You think Sony will raise this cost to $1 billion? The way that they make stuff right now, I think it's possible. I'm hearing $350 million for like the next Insomniac Spider-Man game. I don't even know what it is for Wolverine, but they decided to spend this money before they got the sales figures for Spider-Man 2, which obviously it's just been announced that there's going to be no additional story content for Spider-Man 2. Even though that just came out on the PC. They're not even waiting to find out how it sells on PC. I think they know. Here's another one right here from Makini Draws for $5. Wait, there's more. The Getaway, Jack and Daxter, Knack, Jet Moto, Lemmings, Loco Roco, Patapon. Yeah, I agree. They don't have that many IPs. You didn't even mention, by the way, and I'm not harshing you on this in your very exhaustive list here. You didn't even mention Ratchet and Clank, which
Right.
I still think there's a lot of potential in Ratchet and Clank. Maybe next time if they don't get a Chinese studio to make it for them. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm talking about the movie. not the video game. Obviously, Insomniac makes it themselves. But since we're on the subject of Sony IPs, let's go to this story, which I think is pretty flippin' cool. God of War, Ronald D. Moore boards Amazon series as new showrunner. This by Nelly Andriva. This is the other side of That Park Place story that we were covering some time ago. Ronald D. Moore exited 2 Disney series that were going to be on Disney Plus. One of them being about the Adventurers Club, which is a very parks-centered kind of thing. The other being a Swiss Family Robinson story. I would have been interested in seeing either one of those just because of Ronald D. Moore being attached to it.
Yep.
Exclusive with Ronald D. Moore back in the Sony Pictures TV studios fold. The prolific creator and showrunner is taking on a high-profile IP for the studio. He has been tapped as writer, executive producer, and showrunner of Sony TV and Amazon MGM Studios Prime Video series. Wow, that's a lot of words. Series God of War, based on PlayStation's hugely popular ancient mythology themed video game. Moore's
Jonas, you caught my interest. Now you have my attention.
That's perfect. Moore's involvement with God of War follows the recent exit of the project's original creative team. Oh no, so sad to see him go. Showrunner, executive producer Rafe Judkins, and executive producers Hawk Otsby and Mark Fergus, who had been with the show since its inception 2.5 years ago. As Deadline reported, they had completed multiple scripts prior to the changeover, which marks a shift in the creative direction for the series adaptation. Let's see. Are they? Yeah. They're not getting too deep into this right here. Ronald D. Moore is a legend in the nerd community. First of all, he started, I want to say he's probably started on a little bit of Next Generation, if not Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
And his work on Deep Space Nine was absolutely perfect. It was a respectful deconstruction of what the Federation could be. And it was what happens if you take the starship out of Star Trek and put them at a space station. And then you have what if you were in a war situation as opposed to the idealism of the Roddenberry and Berman Star Trek, and Berman was still involved. But man, I got to say, Deep Space Nine, one of the best science fiction shows ever made, and it has so many awesome butch characters, like the deep bench of really great male characters on that show. Great female characters too, but Benjamin Sisko, arguably one of the greatest Starfleet captains. He's not Picard. I just have to emphasize that as he punches out Q in one of the early episodes. Man, he's not Picard. Martok.
Martok.
Martok was great.
I could geek out on Ronald D. Moore for a very long time. And the fact that when he left, first of all, he goes over to Star Trek Voyager, and apparently he's not welcome there, as he should be. And he goes off and he makes Battlestar Galactica, which, that may not have aged as well as some things, but this incredible comment on the war on terror without being off-putting to either side of the political aisle. Man, really great stuff. Really great show. Also, another fantastic male lead character with General Adama, played by Edward James Olmos. But this guy is fantastic. And then he's been working on Outlander for like 7 years now. And I mean, seriously, the guy knows how to do television and do television well. So to hear that Kratos and what is the kid's name? Atreus. I only know him as Boy. Yes.
Yeah, Boy.
Oh,
which way should I go, Father? In the direction of the deer, boy.
I think this is actually really, really great news here. And I forgive me, if you are the people who just got let go on this series. Hopefully that's a release for you and not a firing. But man, Ronald D. Moore being attached is huge. God of War is the first major new project for Moore since he returned to Sony TV in June with a multi-year overall deal. He had left the indie studio in 2020 after a successful 10-year run that yielded 2 long-running hit series co-developed and created by him. Outlander for Stars, which, by the way, that is huge on Netflix right now. For All Mankind for Apple TV. I'm hearing that For All Mankind is one of the better science fiction shows of the last 10 years as well. Robert Meyer Burnett swears by that thing. 4 years later, the shows are still going, and both have become franchises spawning upcoming spin-offs, Blood of My Blood and Star City, respectively. Moore serves as an executive producer on the Mothership series and the offshoots. But I think this is great news. You guys have any thoughts on this? Tell me I'm wrong. That's totally fine.
No. I think you're absolutely right. What a lot of people don't know is that Moore went to be in charge of Voyager back in the day. He was going to be the lead. He was going to be in charge. And like you said, they got rid of him, and I think that was absolutely the wrong call. Yeah, Voyager's it's a good show. It's not the best show. It's definitely not the best Star Trek show. He would have made it a lot grittier. Everything you saw in Battlestar Galactica was kind of birthed when he was going to do Voyager. So you would have had that gritty leader who's on this big trek to get home, to get back home, and who knows how long it's going to take, what's going to happen. It is criminal that we never got to see Moore's take on that. He has done so many great shows, like you said, DS9, Battlestar Galactica, and he's still developing good shows. I hope this saves this show. I want it to be a good show. I want to see a kick butt Kratos, a Kratos that doesn't take any business.
Thank you.
I would love to get more of this, and I would love to maybe get some voice actors. Honestly, would it not be really cool if you got this show and you got a Kratos, and suddenly you've got, Zeus talking to Kratos, and it's Christopher Judge. It's the voice of Christopher Judge. Would you not flip out?
It'd be amazing.
Kratos, you have disappointed. Oh, it's Christopher Judge. You could do so many cool things with this. And hopefully, I know he has the talent. Hopefully he has the freedom to do it.
I totally agree. And they've got a good starting point. They could either start in the more recent 2 games, or they could start in the old more Roman style games. And I think either one of those would be fantastic. And if this goes to fruition, which of course the last 2 series that he worked on didn't get to go to fruition, didn't get to go into production. If I'm counting that correctly, obviously that Philip K. Dick stuff did make it onto Amazon. But if this actually gets to air, I will be so excited. I'll watch the first 4 here with us on That Game Plays in 2 years. Was it Greek? It was Greek. Was it Greek or was it Roman?
It was Greek.
There we go. It's all Greek to me.
Yeah, because he was a Spartan. The Spartans were almost all gone by the time Greeks took over, or the Romans took over Italy. So yeah,
Greek, not Roman. You idiot! Thank you very much, Donovan Bradford.
Idiot.
Oh, it's an idiot. There we go. All right, boy. Let's continue on. Makani draws. I meant IPs that weren't recent, but I agree, Jonas. There's a lot that can be done with Sly Cooper. Honestly, there's no good reason that there's not a Sly Cooper show at this point. Kids would love it. Great games. They're a little bit on the kiddie side, but there's no good reason for there not to be a continuation of Sly Cooper. Let's see if there's any other details here that I missed on Ronald D. Moore here. Let's see. Back in Sony Picture Studios, tapped as writer. Yeah. I just want to make sure we didn't miss it because that is really cool.
Is it Ronald D. Moore that ended up marrying Jerry Ryan? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Didn't they have a little bit of a fling? Maybe
I don't know. I know that I'm trying to think. She was married to a senator at some point, I think. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look up his personal life real quick.
I might have my individuals mixed up, but I know, yeah, there was a little controversy because he was leading the show, as was said, and then Jerry Ryan and him. It was either
Oh no,
him
that
or
was
another
Voyager.
producer.
That was Voyager.
Yeah, no, but Jerry Ryan and him, I believe, were in a relationship.
Moore didn't. Moore wasn't involved in the show by then.
Hmm.
He was gone.
Mixing
She
up my
came in
executive
like season.
producers.
What is it, guys? End of season
She
2.
came in
beginning
end of season 3, I think. Yeah,
Into season 3. So yeah,
and
he was
then they
already
replaced.
gone.
They were trying to replace Kess
Because they
That's
like
right.
they
because she was
forked
a
him
psychotic
over.
actress, apparently. So
Oh yeah, they forked him over and got him out of it because
Yeah.
yeah.
She was married to Jack Ryan, not that Jack Ryan, but not the fictional Jack Ryan. That'd be pretty cool. And also now is married to Christopher May, and yeah, so no connection there, at least legally. Maybe they got together in an unofficial manner. Maybe they his boyfriend and girlfriend for a minute. I don't know. But let's go to this story. I find this fascinating. We've never talked about COD in any specific way here, but I find this fascinating. Out of Insider Gaming by Tom Henderson, exploit reveals Ricochet anti-cheat has falsely banned thousands of players. Look at this guy right here. He's just staring at him like, what did you just say? A Call of Duty exploit has surfaced online revealing that the Ricochet anti-cheat has falsely banned thousands of players. How the exploit works was uploaded by X, formerly Twitter user Zeblir Poe or Zeblir. I don't know how to pronounce that, which revealed how Ricochet anti-cheat was being abused by people who wanted to get others banned. The TLDR is that the words triggerbot sent to users as messages or even as part of an online ID in a friend request will activate Ricochet and ban innocent players.
I love it. I love it. Leave it to gamers to find some way to be like, hey, go get him.
I mean, seriously. I'm reminded back in the AOL Instant Messenger days of everyone was looking for something called a punter that you could send somebody a wall of text and it would automatically push them off the service. I mean, they would just log back in. But it was a legendary exploit that if you could have a software that could kick someone offline even for just a moment. Of course, at the time,
way you
we
kept
never
them off.
realized.
The way you kept them off, Jonas, was to overload their email. So I don't want to say the word BOMB, but basically it was an email BOMB, and you just sent it, and it just sat there and sent thousands and thousands and thousands of emails over and over and over again until their box was so full they could never get online because they couldn't process 56K modem couldn't process the fact that they had so many emails in their email address. So you had to call AOL and like figure it out with them. And they were like, "Oh well, you have thousands of email. Can you please delete them all and that so I can get back online?" Yeah, it was a thing for a while.
It's such a fascinating thing to me. The idea of someone having this outsized amount of power over other players. It's gone are the days where someone would, especially like in the Xbox days back when nobody kept track of what should have been moderated. It's actually one of the reasons I just kind of gave up on Xbox. It wasn't that I was offended. I just got tired of hearing 12-year-olds trying to talk like what their picture of a 20-year-old was. Like, okay, you lose. What do you call people? You win. What do you call people? We're not going to say any of those words on this channel because we would immediately be demonetized for hate speech. But now I guess you have the ultimate exploit here. Apparently, Activision learned of the exploit before it was uploaded to X and announced that it had restored all accounts to a small number of legitimate player accounts. It's currently unclear how many accounts were legitimately affected. One such account was that of popular streamer Bobby Puff, who has now been unbanned, has been a punching bag of accusations and abuse for the past several weeks. I don't know who this person is. It's kind of funny not knowing. Honestly, one issue that the original poster points out is that legitimate cheaters might also be unbanned, depending on how Ricochet is unbanning players. Real cheaters who were caught by these signatures will get unbanned, they said. Well, that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of why the justice system favors letting people out on a technicality if their civil rights were violated, right? You know, you would rather make sure that you don't punish an innocent person than making sure that you punish a guilty person, right? That's how justice works, right? One issue, Ricochet has said that it will have a new blog up later today on the road to launch progress report of its anti-cheat system. So we'll update readers later today. Um, I just think this is hilarious. I don't play COD, so it doesn't affect me in any way. I don't know. We've never had a very active chat when we talk about COD anyway. So is this something that you think is a bad reflection on Activision, or is this just kind of okay? That's funny. Move on.
It's funny. Move on. Gamers are going to do this. Internet nerds, gamers are always going to find a way to get into the system. There was a thing called the Brubaker ID test, which was getting into an online game and finding manipulative ways to manipulate your online experience without touching a server, which means that anything that was handled computer side, basically you ghosted the program that was watching everything, looking at your own stuff, and then you could sit there and manipulate things behind the scenes, but only things that were held on your side, not on the server side. Gamers are going to do this. People are going to do this. It's happened from the very beginning, ever since we learned how to do Game Genie stuff, learned how to hack into programs, learned how to look at random access memory. You've had people that are going to find creative ways to come up with cool things to do, and they're still doing it. At least I applaud the ingenuity of whoever figured that out. So congratulations, gentlemen. You did something smart. You should be, proud of it.
I think this is a good example of AI actually should be used for stuff like this because it's observational. You need to actually be observing a game to see when someone's cheating. That's usually the easiest way. I mean, anyone that's played Halo Infinite will know right away when somebody's cheating because you go around a wall and you die, right? So it's not possible for them to shoot around a corner, yet they've done it anyway. So they're using tricks and such. So AI should be used in these games to basically observe the battleground and observe from people's point of view and see if they're cheating. That's the easiest way because as you're saying, Loki, somebody's going to figure a way around it otherwise. So the only way is observational and getting reported, but then you can dogpile on somebody that might not be cheating and just good at the game. But at the end of the day, AI should be used because it can quickly observe, say, this is not normal. This is not in the game, and here's what's going on, then ban them. So, and show evidence to the person, email them exactly what they saw. So that's the potential of AI, I would say. But in this case, you're gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater a lot of times with this kind of activity or this kind of programming, I think. So.
That's a fair point. Hey, hey, Space Dave, we actually did cover an Xbox story by accident here. What do you think about that?
Not for long. I think in a year you won't have any more Xbox stories. But,
Oh, no. Well, I think maybe Elder Scrolls, whenever that comes out, will actually have an Xbox story. I hate that it's probably going to end up being an Xbox story because that should be a multi-plat.
I honestly don't believe Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out till probably 2030 at the soonest, I believe. That's my personal opinion, but we'll see.
It's a fair point, and I skipped over a story on this today, but there is apparently a push for Elder Scrolls. Some people were trying to get stat sheets back into Elder Scrolls to try to muddy up the interface after they super simplified it. I came to Elder Scrolls with Skyrim. I was not interested in it, and then I played it, and I lost 3.5 years of my life. I woke up and I had a beard and my toenails were 5 feet long. I don't know what happened, but I had an intimate knowledge of Skyrim. Anyways,
and you bought 4 different versions of the same game.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Elder Scrolls 6, apparently there were people who wanted to say, oh, you need to be like this Dragon Age series over here. Oh, you need to be like this one over here. Like, no. There's a reason that you pull Skyrim numbers. And it is because you did something right. So you don't want to change the things that you did right. And there needs to be just enough bugs to make it fun.
But isn't that the goal of like a lot of modern studios? You notice there's such a distance between the game now that they turn it into something completely different. They lose what it was, what made it good, whether that be Fallout or the fears that we have. This is kind of what I fear as well. Like you're saying, is that this game will not be like Skyrim. It'll be something totally different that tries to be something modern when it should just don't try to fix something that's not broken. That gameplay and that storyline were excellent, and there's lots of room in that universe to expand. So why try to make something else?
Agreed.
That's the problem though, Space Dave. Is okay, look at the other day I installed Red Dead Redemption 2 on my PC again. Why? Because Red Dead Redemption 1 and Undead Nightmares is coming out on the 29th of this month, and I don't want to wait. I just played Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. That game it looks great. It runs great. It is efficient. It is optimized. Even today, by today's standards, I would put that in and go, man, this looks nice. It plays nice. There's no hitching. Oh, but Loki, it had problems when it first came out. It had some, but it wasn't out on PC yet. Now we get this finished product. This is what a decade ago almost now that this game came out, and we've got this great game that looks good. It doesn't have to look like real life images. It just has to look good. It has to look good. It has to play good. It has to have a story that pulls us in, that gets us excited. There has to be a reason to come back and play. And one of the things Bethesda did correctly for years was, I want you to come back and I want you to play me. So much so that Jonas lost almost 4 years of his life and woke up with a beard and like, where am I? Why do I know how to do kindling and make armor and leather
I'm
work?
married with kids.
And for some reason, the restoration glitch, the restoration, what is it, cycle is stuck in my head there. Why did I put all those stats into alchemy? That being said, we do have some super chats here that we should get to. Jacob Foxfires for $5. There was plans for a Sly Cooper movie, but it was canceled. Real sad. That does make me sad because there's so many good characters there, and there's a good little bit of lore there. That's the thing with games. You don't have to have deep lore, but the fact that they have this multi-generational family of raccoon thieves, and then you've of course got oh man, what is his name? I can't even think of the name of the hippopotamus character, but I want to say Morty. I don't know, but great stuff, all of it, and it had a good style. And of course, well, towards the third game, they started to get real weird into eco terrorism stuff. But other than that, really great, solid series. By the way, you know who has the rights to Mega Man right now as a movie? Disney. Jacob Foxfires, $5. They're not doing.
Why do you got to drop stuff like that?
Yeah. Jacob Foxfires for $5. COD is such a relic now, and it won't be going back to its glory days. What its glory days were. Not to mention more Fortnite-ification happening with past COD titles. I agree.
COD's been beaten to death into the ground, though. It's like, yeah, I agree.
It's going to get worse. I think. If you're checking out that Park Place, you can see some of the things they're doing that they and them are doing to try to ruin that game.
Jonas, I apologize. I've got a live on-air correction for my statement from earlier about Jerry Ryan. It was Brannon Braga and her that were together, not Ronald D. Moore. Please, Ronald, don't sue me. I take that back. It was Brannon Braga.
Well, good for Brannon Braga for a little while. I'll say that.
Get your game on.
Yeah, that was. There was a reason that for some reason, I ended up in a conversation with the local fire department, and they were all talking about Star Trek. Not nerds, but they were like, "Is this one of the episodes that's got that 7 to 9 in it?" I'm like, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is." All right, we'll watch that one.
She was a good actress, though.
Yeah, she is.
She's a good actress. So, and I think all of them were very good actors, especially the Doctor. Props to all.
She dealt with a lot of drama behind the scenes too, because Kate Mulgrew didn't like her. What's her name that played Bolana Torres? Didn't like her, absolutely hated her. And you get this feeling when you watch the later seasons, like, man, she's acting like she really hates Seven. That's either some really good acting or she really does hate Jerry Ryan.
Yeah,
And everybody hated Harry Kim because he was never promoted. So
the one episode where they finally make him a captain, like, okay, great.
and then they killed him at the end.
Yeah,
At least in that universe timeline. Sorry.
That I cannot disagree with that command decision right there. But let's talk about something. This one I'm trying to balance them out here. Shigeru Miyamoto, apparently this one from Games Radar, thought Banjo-Kazooie was so great that it helped convince him to delay Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It's so amazing that we don't want to be outdone. This by Dustin Bailey, published yesterday, but it's from an archive pull of a quote. Banjo-Kazooie fever has reignited after a game of executive quote telephone that ended with Xbox Aaron Greenberg acknowledging how much the classic platformer means to fans. At around the same time, an old quote from Nintendo legend Shigeru Miyamoto surfaced, reminding us all how outstanding Banjo looked ahead of its original release on Nintendo 64. So good, it helped the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time to get delayed. Now, one thing I'm going to say, is it very hard to get Shigeru Miyamoto to delay a game?
Yeah.
It is actually. He's very, yeah.
He wants it. He's old school Japanese. This is when we say we're doing it, we're doing it. There is no ifs, ands, buts. So for him to say, I saw this and I said, guys, wait, we've got to go the extra mile here. That's saying something.
Yeah. He's also kind of known for what is called upsetting the tea table and sending things back to the drawing board if he doesn't like them. So he's kind of well known for coming through, especially with the Legend of Zelda games. Coming through and saying there's going to be
I still question then, how did Zelda 2 get approved? That was such a strange game. I despised it as a kid. It was so different than the first one, and then as like the next one was great. Like delaying it was a good plan, but then how did they get Zelda 2 out? That's just amazing to me. That's
a very good question, and he was the producer on that game, but he was not the director on Zelda 2. So maybe that's it. I don't know. The quote comes from a May 8th, 1998 issue of Famitsu magazine, a piece of which was shared and translated. Ocarina of Time had been originally scheduled to launch in late 1997, but by this point, it had already been shifted back multiple times. The Zelda delay is partly because of Banjo, Miyamoto said. It's so amazing, we don't want to be outdone. Now, to be fair, he could have been talking about his own Banjo because he is a Banjo player. And he might have been just talking about the fact that he wanted to sit in his garden and play banjo, perhaps on a bicycle. He's really quite the caricature. I'm joking, but he is so zany that who knows. It's Mario's Makunuchi Bento, Banjo's Deluxe Makunuchi Bento. Forgive me, I'm sure I mispronounced that. I don't know how the art style will go over, but once you're in, you'll be hooked. And there it is in, I'm presuming Japanese. I don't know enough Japanese to recognize Japanese language from any other one. Ocarina of Time wasn't just delayed because Miyamoto was afraid Banjo-Kazooie would show it up. Of course, Miyamoto noted in another magazine, GamePro 114, that the need to get Yoshi's story finished at the time also contributed to the delay. Ocarina of Time was also originally intended as a disc-based game for the Japan-only 64 DD add-on, and change to a cartridge release also had a significant effect on the development time. I'm going to say two things. I love Banjo-Kazooie. Great game. I have 100% of that one back in the day. And right before Banjo-Tooie came out, I even went back and did the special quests that involve screwing around with a cartridge to get the key that was in the frozen area and all the other stuff. So
did you just say you did 100% of Banjo-Kazooie? Isn't that one of the hardest games on the planet to get 100%?
Yeah.
Maybe. I had a lot of time back in the day, back before I had, obligations. But yes, I did have 100% on Banjo-Kazooie. I don't have that cartridge anymore. So Here we go. Here we go. Striker X31 stop and swap. I'm remembering now there was a legend of the stop and swap, but it ended up being codes that they released after the fact. But yes, I did get everything in Banjo-Kazooie back in the day.
I hail to the Super Nintendo nerd. My goodness.
I'll say I did that, and I did Tui, but I was not able to do it on Donkey Kong 64. It was just too much. It was too much overload on the collectathon for me back in the day. I don't know. I loved Banjo-Kazooie, and Rare. Didn't the former head of Rare, isn't he named as the head of Xbox game division now at this point? Like this is a studio that I'm just going to say, after they were bought out by Microsoft, they really didn't do great things the way that they did when they were under Nintendo. It's just not the way that they just not the way that they operated anymore. Of course, maybe it's the fact that Nintendo has this insane way of doing things. Like whatever they're doing with Metroid Prime 4, obviously we don't know how that game is going to turn out, but I don't think many other studios would say, you know what, scrap the entire thing. We're going to start from scratch using retro studios like we should have done in the first place. And then it's probably going to come out on the Nintendo Switch 2 whenever that comes out. But
Jonas, Dread was huge.
Oh, amazing!
When I saw Dread, I was like, "Oh, it looks like Super Metroid." And then the first time I had that boot up, and it's like the music and the stuff they used, and you're like, "Oh, I'm being pulled back into Super Metroid." Yes, brilliant. Nintendo can do so many brilliant things like that. That's what they've got to do, and I honestly believe that's why they're winning. Is because they're doing
Nintendo's
like
the GOAT over time, right, man? They're the greatest of all time. They are.
When
they make a mistake, they tend to pivot in the next gen, especially, and do better. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last thing they did that was truly a problem. I mean, a lot of people made fun of them for the Wii originally, but the Wii is well, yeah, and then the Wii U was kind of doubling down on that. But at the same time, there are games that you cannot. That is a game system that essentially can't be emulated without amazing hardware intervention.
DS games are hard to emulate too because of the dual screen selections. Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob Foxfire is here for $5. Wasn't there some Microsoft marketing person said that nobody cares about Banjo? Real funny seeing this quote then. Yeah, I do believe that was Aaron Greenberg, who backtrack on that original quote. It's so silly. Like if you announced today that Nintendo was involved in a Banjo-Kazooie game, I don't think there'd be any question. Nuts and bolts. Okay, I get it. Whatever. They did something there. But nobody cares because it's over on a system where nobody plays that kind of game. The accusation was made that Astrobot is just a reskinned Mario game. I can see why that accusation came out because it's essentially a mainline Super Mario game on a PlayStation. But I don't care. It's a great game, and I don't think it took the amount of resources that it takes to make a Mario game. I don't think they spent that amount on making Astrobot, for instance. But I do love that Banjo is getting a little time in the spotlight here because of somebody saying something stupid. It's a good opportunity to be reminded how great it is.
Could you imagine your studio coming out? Someone from your studio coming out. We'll take CD Projekt Red. Someone from CD Projekt Red comes out and goes, you know what? No one really cares about Geralt, right? oh wait, we're not going to make the next game about Geralt because no one really cares about him. Oh wait, they did do that, didn't they? Bad example. Sorry.
Oopsie.
Or what if they made the series and made it all about the ladies instead of about Geralt of Rivia, and they push Henry Cavill back? Oh man, see, it could have been great. It could have been great, Loki.
When from your guys' memory, when is the first game that got your attention that they changed, as you said, Loki, something that was a special character, and then suddenly flipped the coin and tried somebody different, and you're like, nah, this isn't right. For me, it was what's that game? I'll let you guys speak first, then I'll probably remember it. But what's your first memory of a game that you're like, the next one you're like, nah, this ain't it, guys. You got it totally wrong. You've changed the main
Oh,
character. You've changed the storyline. I don't like this at all.
the first time that I had that was Assassin's Creed 3, but it turns out that that was more of a gameplay change for them because I'd been playing, and that was because Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood and Revelations and all of that was built on the same engine. So they all, like that engine was getting a little long in the tooth. So I didn't like that one at first, but then I came around to it. I'm trying to think what game. There was a number 2 that I was right out.
Gears of War 5 was mine. Gears of War 5.
Snake. Metal Gear 2. At first, I hated it. I loved the beginning, the tanker incident, and as soon as like I'm Snake, I'm like, no, we're changing your code name, Snake. What I mean, this kid isn't Snake. Who is it? We're gonna call you Raiden. It's Raiden, Lord Raiden, God of Thunder. No, we're gonna call you Raiden, and you're gonna be this, and you're gonna meet Snake, but you don't get to be Snake. And at first, I hated it. It took me a long time to get over. It took me until Metal Gear 4, when he redeems himself as the ultimate awesome dude in Metal Gear 4. I was like, okay, because he's standing there, his arms are gone, he's got his sword in his mouth, and he's like, I will still cut you.
Here's a good one to bring up. Force Unleashed. Force Unleashed 2 was one where I really liked the first one, and by the time I got to the second one, I just didn't like Force Unleashed 2 in the same way that I liked 1. Of course, they also let you play as Darth Vader. Is it? I think it's at the beginning of Force Unleashed 2.
At the beginning of Force Unleashed 1, you get to play as Vader.
Okay.
It's when he's coming down and he takes the Wookiee village on Kashyyyk, and then he goes in and he fights the Jedi, beats him, throws him into the hut, and then goes in there. He's like, where's your master? I can feel his power here. And he's like, my master's dead. You killed him. And then he looks over and he sees it. He's like, a son. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The other thing I like about that is Vader walks so slow in that sequence. And there have been games where you walk slow and it is frustrating as all get out because you want him to go faster, but it's so cool when it's Vader.
He's power walking.
I enjoyed the game, but I did think Starkiller, right, was his last name. Which is a playoff, I think, the original name for.
Yep.
Starkiller was way overpowered though. Like he was just using force abilities left, right, and center without even trying, and you're kind of like, this is interesting, but this is way over the top. And I mean, some people love that series, but he's like just way too much. Like they call it, Dave, it's called Force Unleashed. That's why I get that, but. It's kind of, I think it sullied like the force powers and all of that. It kind of like
I get it.
Diluted the force in a sense. Like, well, if anyone could be this way, then you could have, two of you could easily beat the Emperor and Vader if you put your powers together. If it's that easy to be this powerful.
Well, it wasn't. That was that whole setup with Vader. That's why when Vader enters that guy's hut in the beginning of the game, he thinks, I can feel the presence of your master, because he can feel the force around him and he knows someone very powerful is there. And he tells him, that's why, you killed my master years ago. And what he realizes, it's coming from that little boy. That's when he's like, pops the Jedi's neck, goes to get the kid, and the kid pulls his lightsaber away from Vader. So you've got a little kid, a toddler, that just ripped Vader's lightsaber out of his hand and is like, mine now. The whole
but again, and then he goes and clones him, and then you say, well, all it takes is cloning, and you could just keep making more and more powerful Jedis. I mean, like, you're getting ridiculous after a while.
Well, that's kind of where they're at now with Star Wars.
Exactly, right? That's what they did in
cloning is the best and worst thing that happened in Star Wars. It was better when it was mysterious. I think everybody assumed that the cloning was going to be for Jedi when they referenced the Clone Wars, but in the end, it turned out it was just for a bunch of Jango Fetts. The thing that gets me, and it's really awesome to see it, is him pulling that Star Destroyer out of the sky. It's a really cool moment. But yes, it is very breaking of canon. The thing that got me with Force Unleashed is like all of the skins that you could unlock were super like edgelord skins, like weird ones that were like like had weird tribal aspects to them, or it would be one where he'd be wearing a cloak and not a shirt. Like, well, sorry, wearing a scarf and not a shirt. It was like super weird, super like, oh, look how edgy we are kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, guys. Okay.
Well, not only that, they did the DLC stuff where you could be and go kill Luke and all the like Leia and all those things too. So.
Oh, that was so, dude. That was so cool. So you fight in the DLC stuff. You get to fight Obi-Wan Kenobi with the Millennium Falcon. There, you actually pick Obi-Wan up and throw him into the engine exhaust of the Millennium Falcon. You fight Luke on Hoth when you take Hoth base. The Millennium Falcon escapes, and you fight Luke and you take him down. And then you go find Leia on Endor. You cannot get that Endor DLC, by the way. You can't get it anywhere. There's nowhere to get. It's not on PC. I don't know if it's on the Xbox or the PlayStation now, but you cannot get that Endor DLC on PC. It's impossible. They never came out with it. So you never were able to download it. So all you have in that Ultimate Edition is just those first 2 DLCs and the Jedi Temple one. That's it. You never get to complete the story unless you had it on 360 or PS3 back in the day, which I did.
It's a tragedy. Mahogany draws for $2. The Force Unleashed is canon to me. I will not disagree with you there. Jackie Boy for £5. Also, Vader trained Starkiller ruthlessly for a decade to be a weapon of the dark side. So the powers make sense. He was overpowered, but it was great. Yeah, and they were like run and gun, very they were very gamey games, not like this idea that everything needs to be cinematic. And I've been playing a lot of PlayStation stuff lately for obvious reasons because I own one and I'm trying to get caught up on stuff that's not Fortnite. Yes, I do play things that aren't Fortnite. Actually, I haven't played Fortnite much for the last month or so, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff where it's very heavy on the cinematics, and it's like I don't play cinematics. I'm really not interested in QuickTime events. I'm very not interested in QuickTime events. I get why they sell moments, but I'm big on the pause, skip cinematic if I can. If I've already played it again, it really detracts from my replayability on a game, and I'm all about that replayability. I think that Force Unleashed had a lot of replayability, especially. Well, it was essentially a power fantasy, right? Everybody wanted to be a Jedi and probably a Sith because the Sith get to do all the cool stuff.
But that sums it up well. It was a power fantasy game, not a well-storied game. I didn't think it fell well into like an established George Lucas Star Wars universe. I think it was like, yeah, this is what I would do if I were a Jedi. I'd just start force choking everybody and pushing them off. And like it just doesn't work that way. And it's a very poor story-driven way to do things because there's no limitations. Whereas in the most recent 2 games, there's limitations to that character, right? Apologize, I can't remember the last 2 Star Wars games. Well, minus Outlaws. Before that, with the redheaded guy.
Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis. He had limitations which were realistic, right? So that felt more of an in-universe kind of game. Whereas, like, yeah, he doesn't go too far with his powers, but he is pretty skilled, and you can work that your way up. But you're never going to be Vader. You're never going to be the Emperor, right? Because they are the top dogs in that universe. So. In my opinion, at least.
Agreed. Mahogany draws for $5. The Force Unleashed is more canon than anything from Disney, and that includes the Acolyte. I would hope that includes
I'll agree with it.
The Acolyte, because my goodness, that stuff is trash. And every day I see people. I'm sorry. I try to make it a rule that I don't yuck someone else's yum, but man, the Acolyte struggles. And I have this feeling that anyone who really likes the Acolyte probably has not watched anything good that doesn't come from Disney for a very long time. Please get out there and watch some good sci-fi and really get into it. Watch some good fantasy stuff and really get into it, because Acolyte, that ain't it. That really ain't it. So We've been talking about Nintendo a little bit this live stream, and they have they're good and they have their bad. They are a little bit litigious when it comes to protecting their copyrights. And recently, they of course took down a big emulator for the Switch. It might be a little early on the Switch emulation. I'm just going to say that. Like, if this was for the Wii U, I think that they maybe wouldn't be so litigious, but it's for a current system. And I think that's probably why Nintendo wanted them taken out immediately. The whatever the name of that was. It's not what this story is about, but can't help but notice that Nintendo is suing Palworld, and Palworld's probably going to say, hey, you don't own the rights to this mechanic here. But guess what's come up now? Palworld getting a taste of its own medicine in new mobile PAL-like, blatantly inspired by Pocket Pair's survival game. This out of Games Radar and Ashley Barden. When Pocket Pair released Palworld earlier this year, everyone was pretty shocked by what seemed like an obvious Pokemon ripoff, and now Pocket Pair itself is getting a taste of its own medicine with a new mobile game that looks an awful lot like Palworld. Just like the pocket monsters you may have grown up with on your Game Boy, Nintendo DS, or Switch. Developer Pocket Pair's Palworld is full of adorable fuzzy creatures, except some of them very rudely shoot guns. Now, though, not even the panda-like Mosanda's twin grenade launchers could protect Palworld from the very fate it subjected Pokemon to. The newly released mobile game Mirabeau Go might be the first ever PAL-like, and fans are once again conflicted, saying it's literally a reskin of Palworld, said one Reddit comment. Same concept, animations, and even the monsters are shamelessly similar. While the open world survival game's Google Play description might see its creatures overlap with Palworld's more as an ode to a classic, if you'll allow something that only entered the world a few months ago to qualify as such. I'm just throwing this out there. Have either of you happened to have played this game?
Palworld, yeah.
No, I mean Mirabeau Go or Miraibo Go.
Nope. No.
No. Sorry, I thought you were about to say something there. Looking at this, it's fascinating to me because it's not like Pokemon has been around for like 10 minutes and somebody came in and made a Pokemon game. Pokemon has been around since 1995 or something like that, and it was on the original Game Boy, which I still have my original Game Boy. Still works. Still won't boot it up to play Pokemon because I need to solder a new battery into that thing, but this is a game that has been around for a very long time. Is it a different thing when they're ripping off something that is just a few months old versus something that is, I don't know, old enough to drink?
No, you've seen that. You've seen that in theater. You've seen that in movies. Oftentimes, you get like, okay, they're about to come out with Twisters, and they'll come out with tornadoes, or they'll come out with funnel cloud day or something stupid like that comes out with some TV movie. And then you've got the actual theater movie where all the same beats are there. It's basically the same story, it's just a little different, and you get to watch one for cheaper than you get to watch the other one. So
I think when it comes down to if this is true, it's a ripoff, as in they're just kind of everything's the same, except they're just sort of reskinning the characters. Then yeah, you probably got some precedents to take this to a court, but shoes on the other foot again. Like, how much is a copy? And like, I agree, you can't copy a game style. That's just ridiculous. But you have to be careful. I think Palworld went a little too far using the ball structure and capturing them in a ball. That is very unique to, I think, Pokemon. Digimon and other things are similar, but they use a different format to capture them. So the ball thing is where I kind of draw the line and I say, hey, you guys probably could get sued for that part. But monsters are monsters. The story is not like, I don't think it's anything like Pokemon at the end of the day. It is different. There's no ash and things like that. So that part is different. You're shooting guns. You can't copyright monsters unless they're a dead on copy. But if it's a 1-for-1, and I think somebody in the chat said it might be a Chinese game ripping this off, I don't know that. Can we verify that?
We can't verify within the next 2 minutes,
Okay.
so we can only speculate. Either way, I think the conversation's good on either. If it's a blatant ripoff, obviously that's a problem.
Yeah, if it's just like a blatant ripoff and you're using, we've seen all of those things, I think, in the gaming world too. So, and you're going to get sued sooner or later. And I agree with that because that is infringing on somebody's, I think, creation, and they deserve to get paid for that and not get it ripped off. But you can't. Nintendo's is notorious for going way too far. We'll see what happens with this. I'd like to see some footage side by side if we could, if there is a difference, but who knows?
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. And speaking of which, Jacob Foxfires was the one with that comment for $5. Chinese ripoffs got no shame. TPC, the Pokemon Company, and Nintendo won a case against one of these. Will Pocket Pair have success? I'm reminded of the fact that there was a Pokemon app on. It was actually Pokemon Yellow on the App Store at some point, and it was just a ripoff of the Nintendo game. Not even a good ripoff of the Nintendo game. And somehow it got past app reviews. It makes me wonder if whoever is doing app reviews has no idea what they're doing. It had nothing to do with Nintendo. It was just I don't even know if they emulated Pokemon Yellow when they did it. Well, Yellow was, of course, the third version that had Pikachu in it back in the day. But will Pocket Pair have success? I do not know. Remains to be seen. So we're about to lose Space Dave, though. Space Dave, you have anything you want to shout out before you head out today?
Not specifically to me, but to the two great gentlemen on this channel. I'll check out all their stuff and their Twitter, or X as it's called now. For me, if you look every hour and a half, you'll see me a dot on the in the sky flying by in my spaceship and just wave, and I will definitely be waving back to you.
Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me, and I apologize. Life sometimes pulls us from orbit down back to the planet. You got to do some stuff. So.
That's right. That's right. Well, I hope it's a safe re-entry. We are, for our next topic, I suppose we are going to go a little bit into culture war aspect here, but not really. This is about Ubisoft. This isn't about wokeness or anything like that. Actually, this is a game. I don't know that it's woke, but it definitely has that woke haircut. There was a rumor that came out, and that Park Place was covering it, about the Prince of Persia game. Kind of a Dread-like game, Metroid Dread-like game. Prince of Persia devs move to 3 new projects at Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, depending on how you pronounce that name. This from Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming. Yesterday, a new rumor revealed that Ubisoft had disbanded its Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown team after the game failed to meet internal expectations. It was somewhat a murky picture as to what actually happened, but Ubisoft has since clarified in a statement confirming some of the details. In a statement to Eurogamer, the publisher said that the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown team has moved on to other projects that will benefit from their expertise, and that Ubisoft is focused on making the game available to more players. Insider Gaming understands that the decision to move on from the Prince of Persia: Lost Crown and a potential sequel was made around May of this year and was due to the game missing internal expectations. Sources say that Ubisoft was expecting The Lost Crown to sell similarly to the biggest Metroidvanias in the market. I can only assume that they are meaning Dread and others like it, with millions of units sold in a relatively short space of time. The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown sold approximately 1 million units at the time of writing. Remember when that was a big deal, Loki? Like 1 million units? You're muted. I don't know if you know that.
I am sorry. I don't know what happened. Yeah, that's a big deal. That used to be a really big deal. And when a game went over that, it was an even bigger deal. I remember when Final Fantasy VII hit like 3 million copies in so many weeks, people were going crazy. It was the best selling game of all time at the time. Nobody had touched that. When you hit over 1 million, that was like, mwah. Now they're like, well, we need to make the game available. I love the wording Ubisoft uses. this, we need to make the game available to more people. What they're really saying is we need more people to buy our stuff. So we got to have commercials. We got to release it on this. We got to do this because not enough people have bought it. If you make the game good and you make people want to play it, good word of mouth will travel all throughout this crazy gaming community that you guys hate, and people will buy your product. They'll buy a lot of it because you did something good.
It's very
It's
true.
that simple.
Although I have heard that this game is good, I've heard it's actually a little bit difficult, which is not necessarily a negative when you're talking about a Metroidvania. As for which projects Prince of Persia: The Lost Crowns developers have joined, it's understood that the majority have since moved on to 3 different projects. Sorry, most of the team has joined the development of Beyond Good and Evil 2. I'm glad to hear that's still in the works, which was revived internally in 2017. Around a dozen employees have moved to Project Over, the next mainline Ghost Recon game. Okay. And a dozen have also moved on to Project Steambot, a Rayman remake in development at Ubisoft Milan. I'm also hearing that the Rayman Legends team is pretty much disbanded. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is a project still a few years away, with developers across the entire publisher confused as to why Ubisoft continues to invest tens of millions a year in development, which it's never likely to get back. Project Steambot has also provided somewhat unpopular internally, as original creator Michael Ansel looms over the project as a consultant. While it hurts me to see them say this about Beyond Good and Evil, it is a very good point. It didn't sell very well, as much as I love Beyond Good and Evil. I was one of the few people who bought that game. It was a great game.
It was a good game, and you would think that the people at Ubisoft, instead of this whole drawn out thing where they spend 7, 8 years on a project and they're just getting tax revenue off of that, and they're holding it like what they did with the pirate game, Jonas, that they did. Skull and Bones.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was
this is
trying to think which one.
this is killing games. It's killing games. We're gonna keep a project on the shelf for 7 or 8 years so we can get tax money off it. And then we're just gonna release it in this really weird state because we've made money back already on it by taxing it for the last 8 years. It's insanity. Just get your game out, make it good, and we will buy it, and you will make your money. It just has to be good. We are starving for good content, exceptional stories, great gameplay. It doesn't have to have photorealistic visuals to be a great game today. Just make it great, and we'll buy it. Stop with this whole thing of it's got to have this, it's got to have that, it's got to sit on a shelf, it's got to have so many tax years, it's got to stop thinking like a corporation and go back to thinking about what is fun and enjoyable.
I just look at this right here, and I joked about it earlier, but I have to wonder, this haircut right here. He's supposed to be a Persian, right? And
Right.
that haircut doesn't exactly say Persia to me. That haircut actually, for me, it's kind of a warning sign. It's more like the lobotomy cut is like the official cut of a woke game. It's almost like you're trying to tell everybody that it's woke. And I'm not trying to say that the game is woke because of that, but it's usually a good indicator. That's supposed to be the first of all, it's a very modern haircut, so kind of takes you out of if you're going for realism. It kind of takes you out of it. That long hair that he had in The Warrior Within, that was a little weird.
Yeah.
You kind of, okay, maybe he hasn't shaved for a little while, and maybe his hair just happens to look that way. And Prince of Persia has presented as white in previous games a little bit. I mean, he was played by Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie, for goodness sakes. But I look at things like that, and I wonder is it the fact that it presents as woke that kept people from playing this game, or is this just is Prince of Persia just a dead franchise anyways?
Ubisoft's killed a lot of its franchises. So have other companies. I don't think they're interested in it right now. Number one, They could someone could put their finger at him and call him a white guy. Number two, it's a male protagonist. It's not Princess of Persia. It's Prince of Persia. When they come out with Princess of Persia next and think it's a success because it sold 100 copies in the first 2 days it was out, I highly doubt it. But anything is possible today. I don't think they're interested in it right now. And we've got that with a lot of IPs that have just been sitting there collecting dust that could be making a lot of money right now, but they aren't because it's too violent or it's too male or it's too whatever. It's lost opportunities and they only have themselves to blame.
Hey, just out of curiosity, do you know what IGN rated this one?
7.
Actually, an 8, but I thought that was funny. I just there's so much about it that I just look and it takes me out of it. Apparently, his name is Sargon, is what we're hearing here in the chat. He's not the Prince of Persia. He's called Sargon. Well, there could be only so many princes of Persia, can there? I don't know. Jacob Foxfires for $5. You are making too much sense, Loki. How about their bottom line? They need to spend over 200 million on their games with no guarantee of success.
Oh, you would. I mean, it's 2024. You guys had this figured out 20, 30 years ago how to do this. And it's like you've lost. It's like what I was talking about Red Dead earlier. You guys made this efficient, beautiful game that still looks good today. That's still like, you don't really need an HD remake. You don't need nothing. It still looks good. It still plays good. And look at how efficient it was on your system, on your memory, on everything. I mean, I've got a 3090 over there and it doesn't even tax it. It's just like hiccup. Oh, Red Dead 2. Okay. And it's a great looking title. It's not about that anymore. It's about pushing boundaries, making you feel uncomfortable, subverting your expectations. And we're tired of it. We are so tired of it. We just want good games. Just give us a good game. Is that too much to ask? Why do we get called all these names just for asking for good content?
Right, or even just, you know, they're willing to cater. I'm going to actually say they're willing to pander to almost any audience out there. But when they go to their primary audience and their primary audience says, "No, I'm not really interested in that," they get angry at them. This is supposed to work in a way that, well, there's a soft bigotry of low expectations at play here. They think that people respond only to people who look exactly like them, and they in some way are saying that they think that white males are above that kind of a reaction. So they want to say that they're both evil and enlightened at the same time. And they want to view everyone else as lesser, but they want to pretend like they're better. It's such a weird and twisted mentality. It's two horrible thoughts trying to battle it out inside of their souls at the same time. It's moral dissonance. Maybe I'm getting too deep with it here by trying to reckon it out for them, but it's a soft racism, and I really can't stand it. Makani draws here for $5. It's the Killmonger cut, which is very common amongst non-white male characters in games right now. Miles in Spider-Man 2 is the worst example. I don't know that he's the worst example. I'm going to point out that Wraith also has that haircut, and that might be the worst example. When I saw Wraith, I was like, "What?" But yeah, the Killmonger cut. That's a very respectable name for it. I like the lobotomy cut myself. There's an episode of Everything Woke that starts out with that's a Transformers Earth Spark, and the first 3 dings on it are this haircut on 3 different female soldiers all at the same time. It's like, guys, you don't have to have your women look like psychopaths, because that's really what it is. A female character with that haircut tends to look like a psychopath, especially if they're pretty. And that's how they're trying to look edgy, is by, I don't know, long hair on a woman. I find that quite fetching myself.
You know, Jonas, I was hearing from someone, Mech Warrior 5 Clans came out the other day, and he heard someone, why does this chick have this shaved thing on her head, and her hair's combed over, and this other chick, she's got a mohawk, and what's with all these military chicks? I'm like, they live in a society where anyone that is in the military, anyone, man, woman, whatever, are elite, bad people and ready to kick some tires and light some fires. Think of Vasquez in Aliens. So they're all like that. They all act like that. It's not just one or two or three where you've got some nice ones here and there. The warrior cast of the clans all act like that and all look weird. Why? Because they're genetically enhanced and they're super soldiers. So they're all hopped up on their own adrenaline, whatever, and they've all got weird things going on with their hair, with whatever. So that's just the lore of MechWarrior, but we've been flooded with so much of this stuff that when we see anything like this, we're immediately like, But some of it's been in lore, some of those looks, and that's what they've taken. They've grabbed onto these aspects of, oh, look at this chick with this weird haircut from MechWarrior. We'll give all our girls in the game one. That's when it's like, oh guys, you missed the whole point. They have this stuff because they're supposed to be absolute bad ladies that do bad things, not because they're good guys.
It's perfect. That's a great rant, by the way. We got one more story. We've gone through these a lot quicker than we usually do on this show. It's been surprisingly orderly with just the three of us, and now just me and my main man Loki here. I got one story that I want to throw in here. Let's see if it'll let me put it on the screen. This by John Trent over at That Park Place. Halo composer Marty O'Donnell says if Elon Musk starts a video game studio, he will come out of retirement.
He
Marty
got
O'Donnell,
let go. He got fired.
He did. Marty O'Donnell, the composer for Myth 2, Oni, Halo, and Destiny, shared that he would come out of retirement if Elon Musk decided to start a game studio. O'Donnell's comments came in the wake of Musk being asked if he would start a video game company in the wake of the woke mind virus infecting the video game industry. During a town hall, Musk was asked, with recent flops like Concord and Dustborn, games are prioritizing pronouns and things like that and stuff instead of actual gameplay. So I was wondering, have you ever thought about making your own gaming studio and making an impact on the industry? After describing the inclusion of pronouns as annoying, Musk answered, if there's one thing actually that would be a fun thing to do, it would be to start a gaming studio, because I do actually intrinsically love video games. And I think if you apply sort of AI to video games, you could really make incredible video games. I'm going to push back just a little bit there. I don't like the idea of AI in video games. But there are a few moments where I think it could help if you're just doing code and things like that, where people are having to learn how to code in order to get it to do the thing that you already know that you want it to do. I don't know.
Cleaning something up. Up. Hey, let's have the AI go over it, clean it all up, find the most efficient way to present it, and boom, we'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's fair. So let's play the clip.
I was wondering, with recent flops like
make video games great again.
Yeah, exactly. With recent flops like Concord and Dustborn, games are prioritizing pronouns and things like that instead
That's
of
annoying.
actual gameplay. Yeah. So I was wondering, have you ever thought about making your own gaming studio and making an impact in the industry?
If there's one thing I could say that would be a fun thing to do, it would be to start a gaming studio. So I do actually intrinsically love video games. And I think actually if you apply sort of AI to video games, you could really make it to some incredible video games. So yeah, I think just generally for content, the problem with like the sort of DEI and the woke mind virus is that it kills the art. It's just like as soon as when you can see something that is forcibly imposed on the story and it's discordant, it destroys the art. And now it's hard to enjoy the story. It kicks you out of the story because you can just feel that you're being lectured.
We're seeing it in movies and TV and all that kind of stuff. It's like, let me just enjoy my video games.
Exactly. I know. Come on, not video games too.
Which is funny because you would also assume that he's aware of it, anyways. I mean, there's no way he doesn't know.
He is. He's a Diablo fanatic. He loves Diablo. He plays Diablo all the time. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows what's going on. He's a very intelligent person. The only reason why the media has gone after him is because of stupid things
Right.
that shouldn't be happening in the first place. And he is a very intelligent man, and he knows what's wrong. He knows what gamers want because he's a gamer.
No,
Those
no,
are the
no.
kind of people we need making games. There's more gamers making games.
No, that doesn't track. I heard Kim Belair call him a buffoon one time. You know, Kim Belair, who works with Sweet Baby Inc., she said that people were mean to her online, and she also called Elon Musk a buffoon. So she must be right, because I think she's saying she's more oppressed than him, and I think that's how you determine who is the most correct, is the person who's the most oppressed, right?
He's from Africa. Where was she born? He was born in Africa. Do you know what
Yes,
kind
that's
of
right.
shenanigans that
Oh,
go
man.
on in Africa? Where was she born again? Was she born in the United States? I'm pretty sure she was.
Yeah.
It's either that or Canada.
In the words of Creed Bratton, born in the U.S. of A, baby, he won the lottery. She won the lottery, I should say. I've no particular beef with Kim Belair, but it is funny to watch people who have done nothing other than call themselves a narrative consultant try to go after someone who, he gets up and he puts his pants on just like everybody else. But when he does it, he makes gold records. And by gold records, I mean launches rockets and builds Starlinks and obviously Tesla. He doesn't do all of that himself, but seems to be doing a pretty good job of guiding the people that do that. I try not to praise the guy too much, but when people say such silly things about him, I can't help but point out the ridiculousness of it. So back to Marty O'Donnell. So I retired. Oh, he put it in quotes. But might be related to what you were talking about there, from video games, because I had to fight MS, Bungie, and Sony. However, if anyone could coax me back in, it would be Elon Musk. Give me a call. And he said, I'm in. Call me. Let's start a game studio, with Elon Musk saying DEI kills art. He's obviously talked about this in the past as well. Let's see. I started seeing it a little bit during our Halo 2, which goes back quite a ways. This is basically one of the first stories that we covered on That Game Place, the channel here, talking about how in Halo 2 there was a lot of awareness of the Covenant being perceived as a specific race, and so the Covenant had to be changed in Halo 2. So I think he's been sick of it for a very long time. I don't know. What do you think about this? I think Elon Musk, when this was first brought to my attention on That Park Place, I pointed out that just because a person likes to play video games does not mean that they would make good video games. But people pushed back and said, he wouldn't actually be making the games himself. Would you be interested if Elon Musk started a game studio with developers, or more likely bought a game studio, in what he would have to put out into the market?
Absolutely. I'd be one of the first people to line up and say, you know what, let me see what you got. And that goes back to when we were talking about your favorite game company of all time, and the Mass Effect games. They got to have the handcuffs off for Mass Effect 2. They got slammed in court. They got slammed in politics. They got slammed by all these people that said, you can't do this. And they fought to be able to do something and have the cuffs taken off. I really believe Elon will go back to the, you know what? We don't have to handcuff ourselves with all this stuff. That's the way Japan's being treated. That's the way Ubisoft's treating other companies. That's what Sweet Baby does. They go in, you got the handcuffs. You got to put the handcuffs on. You can't say this. You can't say that. You need sensitivity readers. You need sensitivity viewers. You need blah, blah, blah. It's time to go back to the old way of, you know what? I don't need you. I don't need you looking over my shoulder. I don't need you telling me how to make my game. This is my vision. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make what I want of it. One of the reasons why we don't have the collections we used to have is because, oh no, we can't do that. Oh no, we can't do that. We can do all this other stuff, but we can't make a good beach volleyball game again. A current day, we got a PS4 version. That's all we're gonna get. We can't have a Mortal Kombat with attractive females. No, we can't. So you can have a guy stripped down, half naked on a game, but you can't show anything. You can't show belly. Can't show this. Can't do that. They need to just take the cuffs off. They put them on this time by choice.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, this goes perfectly with this super chat right here. Butterbiscuit 92 for $5. Jonas, if Disney does someone to Mega Man, I will blame you and I will find you. LOL. First of all, Fox was working on the Mega Man movie and it was bought, and so I don't know if those options are gone at this point, if the option to make that game is gone, but Disney killed it essentially, which is pretty silly because right now I think they would love to have a Mega Man game
Someone go up against Mario.
Yeah. And on a serious note, will anyone cover the Sonic censorship? Well, yeah, I suppose we could, Butterbiscuit, since you put your $5 in. Sega has censored Rouge the Bat's bareback in Sonic X Shadow Generations. This by Spencer Baculi, who was not able to join us today, but
great guy over at Founding.
Yep,
great guy.
Yep. And perhaps one of the most bizarre examples of video game remake censorship seen in the medium's entire history. Leaked footage has revealed that Sega has covered up Rouge the Bat's bareback, while at the same time taking no action against Amy Rose for sporting the same look in the upcoming Sonic X Shadow Generations. Well, that's because Rouge is the kind of character that's interested in people seeing her bareback, and Amy Rose is annoying as all get out. The design change for the winged jewel thief was confirmed just a few days ahead of the upgraded remake's official release date, courtesy of the game leaking early in its entirety to the wider internet. Seizing upon the leak, by the way, this comes out October 25th, so not long from now. A number of excited fans voluntarily proceeded to dive into Sonic X Shadow Generations contents there and exposing them to everything the game had to offer, including its full cutscenes. Here we go. Hey, I don't mean to be that person, but can Sega stop doing this? I didn't think they'd censor Rouge further, but they've even covered up her back now. It looks bad. It's impossible to put on with her wings, and nobody likes it. Stop being cowards. This is
what is it showing, Jonas? I mean, it's not inappropriate or anything. It's not gotta.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at this right here, you know, there's a little sideness going on over here, and obviously this is bareback right here, and this is a full suit at this point. So if this is the original version, is the problem that it's this low cut on the side, and so this is getting cut out with it? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what they're doing here. And this
none of this DEI stuff makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree. And here the shoulders are low here, and the Sonic X Shadow Generations receives a transmission from Shadow. So this is a cutscene. Is this also what's related to the animations that they've been putting out on the Sega YouTube channel? Whoever made that call must have come into the office with clown shoes. Is this supposed to be Amy Rose's skin right here? I don't know. Kind of looks like a t-shirt to me. I don't understand how any of this works on the DEI side. It seems rather silly. Let's see. Upon its release earlier this year, Persona 3 Reload, as developed by Sega subsidiary Atlas, makes a lot of great Nintendo games, by the way, was found to have completely removed and replaced an entire social encounter wherein the player's party discovers Junpei has been hitting on a male-to-female woman, ostensibly due to the contents being handled primarily in service of humor. That's funny. Anyways, yeah, I don't get it. I guess Rouge is probably the spiciest character in the Sonic universe right now. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that is on that side of things that is anything like Rouge. Maybe it's the fact that there are little kids that are into Sonic the Hedgehog now, and they don't want to. I don't know. They don't want to awaken them too early. But Rouge has been in that area where, I don't know. I can understand if there's fan art, for lack of a better way of putting it, but I don't think she's been that bad when it comes to it. She's no more revealing than Ariel, the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, no. this is them overreacting again. And you said, I don't see the sense in this. It doesn't have to make any sense. They have some sensitivity. Watcher, viewer, whatever, go over it and say, "Oh, this is horrible. You have to do something about this." And then that adds a month's time to go over to into an old
That's
game.
very true. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, cost and time on top of it. Jacob Foxfires for 5. It also just doesn't look right. The wings are going through clothing, and it looks just like it's stuck on. It doesn't work. Yeah, I agree. The design is not great, and they wanted to change the design without thinking about the design. Makes sense. Clyde Griffiths. Yeah, she's just a fangirl now and helpful, but not on him like a lovesick puppy. LOL. Pointless. I'm assuming that's talking about Amy Rose, a character that I just have to say, if it's Sonic the Hedgehog's response to Princess Peach, that's a swing and a miss. They can't all be gold. They can't all be gold. But that being said, Loki, I think that we don't need to stretch this out any farther than we have to. Just take the next 10 minutes to tell me everything about your channel and what you're doing and where people can find you.
I don't know if it'll take 10 minutes, but I'm Stone Cold Loki. I'm over at Loki's Mornings of Mischief. We go 8 a.m. standard time, Monday through Friday. Yes, that's real time, not fake time like you Eastern guys. We talk about everything from video games, movies, TV shows, what's going on with pop culture. Every once in a while, we dip our toes into politics, but mostly that's just for the stupid things going on in politics, not specifically one side or the other. We do a Friday night late show that we will, I don't know if we'll be having that this week or not, since I will be in San Antonio Friday.
Oh, cool.
We might. So we might have that. Probably not, though. I don't know what it's going to be like once we get out there. So I know I'm not going to sit in my hotel room for 2 hours and do a show when I could be out hanging out with everybody and spending quality time with people.
Well, first of all, I hope you have a fantastic time in San Antonio. I'm assuming the Rippaverse guys are going to be out there.
Oh, yeah. And one of our very own Culture Casino.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that he had publicly told people that he was going to be out there. So I didn't want to out him. But if he's told me, he's told you, I think he's probably told everybody else in the entire world. Of course, I am not only a host here on That Game Place, I'm also a host on That Park Place, which will be streaming at noon tomorrow. We'll be talking about Disney and Disney. Oh my. By the way, the Pro Show has its next Agatha after party. I'm going to have to watch. I've skipped the last 2 Agatha after parties for reasons, and now I have to watch 3 episodes to get caught up in time for this evening. And I got to say, I watched a little bit of WandaVision, and Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are actually really good in WandaVision. The 2 of them are, maybe it's Paul Bettany doing all the work, but Scarlet Witch, not Scarlett Johansson. Be a completely different show if it was Scarlett Johansson. The 2 of them together, really good stuff. And then you get Agatha, and I don't think they have any idea what to do with that character. I think they misunderstood what they're doing with that whole thing. So y'all pray for me, by the way. And also, please drop by the Agatha after party to make my suffering not so meaningless. The Mum here for $4.99 with a question to close us out. TGP Awards. Yeah, we probably need to think about that for 2024. As soon as that's done, maybe we need to do that for a New Year's celebration. But in the meantime, which Mega Man, if there was a movie, classic or X?
X for me. I always loved the Dr. Light storyline in that first game.
Yeah.
Where Mega Man finds the holographic messages from him and gets the power-ups, and he can even do the Hadouken from Street Fighter because they're both Capcom games.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely X for me. Even though I played the earlier ones and I love them, X is when I was like, you guys have topped yourselves. You'll never be able to do that again.
Yeah, if they're gonna do both, they pretty much have to do the first one first. But I'm with you, Loki. I really like X, and I like the, I don't want to say melodrama of X, but the idea of him being Dr. Light's dream, and that Dr. Light died a long time ago, but has these holographic messages to send him. I really like the idea of that entire setup. Obviously, Dr. Wily long gone, even though he's whatever. But the idea of Sigma, and Sigma has a different meaning now than it did back in the day. But Sigma being this great, actually kind of malevolent, not cartoony villain. Of course, he's surrounded by cartoony villains, but when you get to Sigma, he's actually kind of a threat, as opposed to Dr. Wily, as he's referred to in some of the games. But if you want a fix of the classic Mega Man, which I love, I think you can still find that Mega Man series. I'm not sure if it's on an official streaming service. If it is, you should watch it there. There are DVDs of it out in the wild, like official DVDs of it out of the wild. But it might also be on YouTube. But that theme song is kicking right there, and it ends with X. So good stuff. So my vote is for X. Loki's vote is for X. So it's official. Disney has to give the rights to someone that we like, and they have to make it X. So Butterbiscuit for $5. He forgot about the scene Sonic pushes Amy in the face in the original, and it's replaced with him holding a tray of cupcakes. It was on Flash's video. You're right. You're right. I don't know. I'm gonna give Spencer a hard time whenever I talk to him next. Yeah. Amy deserves a palm to the face, a gentle push in the face with an open hand there.
To the hand.
Not like more of a oops, I accidentally bumped your face there, not a smack or anything like that. Maybe she does. I don't know. It's probably going to get me in trouble with YouTube though. We'll have to wait and see what they do in the final game. I have someone living in my house that is a Sonic super fan that will tell me all of the differences between Sonic generations and Sonic X Shadow generations. So let's see. I think that's all the super chats. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. It's always a blast and sticking with us, even when some of us are traveling or under the weather and still on the panel, even if they're both. Go subscribe to Loki's Mornings of Mischief. And by the way, get your game on.